Hey, welcome to Mad Dog's After Show. You're along for the ride with the Mad Dog and Cole, the can opener, Pharaoh.
King of the Hammers, more like King of the Slammers, bro.
Woo!
I decided to fly through the air and live in the sunlight and enjoy life as much as I could, and that's just what I'm doing.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Man, oh man, what a way to start 105. Then those inspiring words from the incredibly insane Mr. Evil Knievel, flying through the air, living in the sunlight, and enjoying life.
Yeah, an even better way to start is the reason we can enjoy life and fly through the air, live in the sunlight is because of our first responders and
Absolutely.
the selfless efforts of all of our men and women of the armed forces.
Yeah, for sure. And special shout out to all of our veterans and, of course, the families that gave all, the families of the KIA, MIA. We appreciate you. And super big, heartfelt prayers to all our first responders working out there still in Southern California and on the fires all around that area. Thank you all so much for all you do. Man, sure appreciated. So, yeah, while we're appreciating things, man, how about an appreciation for Kicker Performance Audio? Round of applause. Wow. Yeah. No, Kicker Performance Audio for all your 12-volt audio needs, whether it's a car, truck, sandrail, jet ski, boat, whatever you need, all the way up to personal audio, headphones, wireless earbuds. Man, Kicker Performance Audio has you covered. Check out their website, kicker.com, and check out the new LX series amplifier just released. All new premium amplifier. You can find Kicker on Instagram at Kicker Audio, on their website, like I said, kicker.com, every other Tuesday night live on their TV show, Kicker Unmasked Live, Facebook and YouTube. Of course, Bomber Eyewear, Bomber Floating Eyewear, Bomber Safety Eyewear, Bomber Badass Eyewear. Mad Dog approved. Bomber Eyewear, over 40 frame styles. And I don't even know how many lens combinations. Go to their website, bombereyewear.com. Check them out. And be sure and check us out in the final credits for your personal Mad Dog discount code for those Bomber Eyewears. Get them while they're hot. BomberEyewear.com. Find them on Instagram at Bomber Eyewear. Of course, Assault UTV, Assault Industries. So glad to have them on board. All your premium ATV, UTV, and off-road needs, tools, apparel, everything you need. You can find them on Instagram at Assault UTV, on the web at assaultind.com. Check out their all new Phoenix MAS 223 axles. Hit them up. Assault Industries. Of course, the Premix Podcast and our man Cole sharing his love for all things desert racing through the lens of a camera, and also does some MC and announcer work. Get him booked for your event or get him booked to take shots of your next desert race on Instagram at the Premix Podcast. That's the at symbol, ThePremixPodcast. All one word, the Premix Podcast. Of course, Shutter and Whirl, formerly Kelsey Morrell Film and Media, for all of your film production and still photo, studio photo production needs, from pre-production all the way through production to post-production. Shutter and Whirl. Find her on Instagram at Shutter and Whirl, all one word. Hey Geeks Marketing, solving all your social media and website problems. You got a problem you need fixed, whether it's a website built, maintained, fixed, or a social media account built, man, yell, Hey Geeks, or find her online, heygeeks.com, or on Instagram at Hey Geeks Marketing. Well, here we are. After how many years at Dakar now? 5?
Let's see, 2020, 2023, 24. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
6.
6? Wow.
Started in 2020.
Yeah.
No. 5, 2021 I started. I can't even remember. It's been so long. 5 or 6.
Nice. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Seth Quintero. Dude, one, thank you for jumping on. I know how stinking busy you have to be. And dude, I really appreciate you jumping on. This is our Dakar download, I'm gonna call it. And we've got Cole has sent me a bunch of questions. He's back there in the background making sure audio's good and listening. But I want to jump right into it. I mean, everybody knows who Seth Quintero is. Everybody knows how far we go back. Um, just everybody that listens knows who you are, and just about everybody in the world now knows who you are. So, what's that like? I mean, we're talking like whatever 5 years or so, 5 maybe 6 years at Dakar. Um, what's it like? Because when you started going, I mean, you weren't legally or by their rules old enough to race, right?
No, so the first year that I went, we kind of threw a Hail Mary, thought that I was going to be able to race. Showed up to Saudi Arabia, and I was not allowed to race. So yeah, couple long months go by, exactly a year, and I was 18 and like 3 months or something like that, 18, 3 months, and then they ended up letting me race the following year. Yeah, I mean, I guess just these 5 years Dakar and all the things that we've been able to accomplish, it's like it's a double-edged sword for sure. Because the first year I went in with no expectations and ended up leading it until the last day, or 2 days ago, winning a couple stages, set some really cool records, and then that kind of set the staple of what I had to do year after year after year for the following 5. So yeah, it's definitely a double-edged sword. It's nice to be in the position that I am and be with the team that I am and learn the way that I have. But definitely have had a lot of pressure on me since the beginning, and it seems like it just keeps getting more and more. So yeah, double-edged sword.
Yeah, for sure. But the one thing I want to highlight right away is you and the rest of your at the time Red Bull Off-Road Junior US Team USA, people like Mitchie and AJ, you guys went in a time when like Americans really couldn't buy publicity on racing in Dakar. I mean, other than Ricky, nobody, and I don't feel like Ricky at the time even got the respect he deserved, And I want to say great job, because you guys have turned the tables and forced all of them to pay attention to you, to all the Americans. And as a nation, we're grateful for the representation, but not just representation and making them pay attention to you, but the kind of people that you are, right? The things that we see year after year out of Seth, uh, the sportsmanship, the love for the sport and other competitors, whether you love them or not. If somebody's in trouble and Seth's there, you're going to help them. I mean, let's talk about that a little bit, because that's a whole almost a triple edge to the sword, if you will.
Yeah, it's like you said, I feel like the first year that we went, to be completely honest, I think there was a stigma on the way Americans acted, and they had this certain image, and Americans didn't know about it. And obviously, we had a few Americans over there, and maybe they didn't set the best tone. I'm not going to name any names. But yeah, I don't think the year that Ricky and Casey won, that they got the respect and publicity that they deserved. It's been a really long, ongoing process of gaining the respect of everybody else towards Americans. Um, I can selfishly say that I've been a part of that. I hope to get these guys to think differently about us, and I don't know, maybe just because the way my family is, or maybe it was the way that I was raised, but American flags everywhere, and I'm very proud of where I come from. So yeah, definitely hold a high standard for myself and the whole country. So it's a really cool feeling to be able to do that. And obviously the things that have happened in front of me, whether that was cars crashing, and me flipping them over, or people getting hurt, me stopping, or me crashing and trying to stop people from doing what I did. I think I've definitely gained some respect for sure, and hopefully can continue doing that. I know I'm young, and people have an idea of me in multiple different directions, whether they know me or not, because of my age. So yeah, the age thing's you pick and choose your battles with it. But yeah, I guess we'll just keep learning, and keep loving the sport and keep respecting everybody and see where that gets us.
Yeah, and you have really done a great job of that, and I feel like you've earned, it looks like from some of the candid stuff that I've seen in coverage and whatnot, that you've earned a lot of respect from some of, if not all of the, what would I call them, the extremely experienced, I don't want to call them old guys because
The
I'm an old
legends,
guy.
the
Yeah,
legends.
the legends. And that's like, I know you're real close to Nasser, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm close to a lot of the guys. I think the way that I really gained any sort of respect or any traction from those guys was just kind of way that I just kept coming back and kept doing it. I'd have amazing races and I'd have terrible races, and regardless, I'd still hold my head high and have a love for the sport. So yeah, I think that definitely has something to do with it. I've been beaten down a lot, and I've come right back every single time, and just come back over and over and over and over again, no matter what happens. So they can see how much I love the sport and how much I want to grow the sport with them. And I don't want to kick them out of their spot. I just want to join them. So yeah, it's been really cool to adventure with these guys.
That's that's really rad, and it's really cool to see them welcoming you. And you talk about the age thing, and you are a lot younger than a lot of the legends, if you will. But through the years that you've been racing Dakar, you're setting, like, you're setting yourself into a very young legend status, if you will. I
Yeah,
know you don't want, your mom would say, "Nah, he's just a snot-nosed kid." I know that, but but you really are, through your tenacity and your attitude. I mean, it's you've done a great job.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's going back to the age thing, starting at a young age was really awesome. But it was definitely tougher for me, just trying to work my way through and gain the respect. I feel like if I was a little bit older and doing the things that I was doing, I would gain a little bit more easier. But they want to see what the kid's going to do, how he's going to act, and how he's going to portray himself and respect others. And luckily for me, I grew up at a very young age and have the amazing parents that I do. And maybe I'm sound like an idiot, but they raised me well. I think maybe I'm thinking wrong, but I do owe a lot of it to my parents. Well, all of it actually, and the hard work that they instilled in me, and the way that they did raise me, and how to carry myself, speak to others, and the media, and everything in between.
Yeah, and that's something that really sold me back, how many ever, what, you're 22 now, so 10 years ago.
Yep.
Um, wow, 10 years, dude. You don't you don't hardly look a day older. You're a foot taller,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
You still look young. Look at me, man. I look like I've been beat with a pole for 10 years. Um,
I think when I
so,
met you, I was about 5 foot, and now I'm about 6'1", 6'2". So that's about the only thing that's changed in me.
yeah, yeah. But it's the same spark. It's the same articulation. It's the same positive attitude, um, which is stellar. I mean, we've all seen young racers come on with success and turn into people you don't like necessarily, and you haven't done that, and I don't see you ever doing that.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Well, no, you work hard at it, and I think if you ever did turn that way, your mom or your dad would probably lay a beating on you.
Yeah, they give me a good smacking for sure. Yeah.
But how's it? I mean, I wanna go through this year's Dakar if you can. I can't name every what we have, 14 this year, 14,
13.
13. Okay. Okay. But man, a couple of things that Cole, well, first I was really grateful for you guys and your composure and all that, and forcing the media to pay attention to you, because after the first couple of three stages, I was playing catch up on the broadcast because I was traveling. Um, but we recorded, Cole and I recorded, and I really had a little, um, I don't know, a friend of mine called it a tizzy on the FIM and what is it, ASO?
Yeah.
Um, because you know, you guys just weren't getting what you deserved. And at that point, you had already won a stage. And so I had a tizzy, but I'm going to say right now, and Cole, you'll be happy this is recorded, that they really came around. So, anyways, all that being aside, I was grateful that they came around, so I don't have to throw another tizzy. Um, Dude, it's so hard. Like, you know, you're like my boy kind of deal. And they're like, oh, yeah, Andy finished third today, and you got like 8 seconds of coverage. I'm like, "Oh, he won yesterday, you idiots." And like, he's young, and he's like, what's wrong with you? See, there I go. But yeah, that was tough, but it's great that you guys are that you're performing the way you're performing in the class you're in, um, because they have no other choice. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Don't give them the option. Don't give them the option. Just
right.
let the drive and talk.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you go back to the SSV or T3 and what was it, whatever it used to be. Um, and they had the option to cover some Brazilian in 16th place over you winning 11, 12 rounds in a row,
Oh,
11 rounds in a row.
well,
Yeah. So now they just don't have that option. So I think it's great. But anyways, I want to jump into Dakar a little bit because you went over later than you've ever really gone over.
yeah. I went over. Shoot, we usually leave Christmas morning, so we usually Christmas is a tough one. We usually pack up pretty early on Christmas morning, or we'll do the Christmas day before. But yeah, we I don't know what happened this year or why, because it's the same dates. Maybe just with the team that I'm in, we didn't leave until um December 31st, which was really
Yeah.
nice. And racing started on the 3rd.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a lot of time to prepare and get there, but we had put in so much time beforehand to where I wasn't really worried about it. I had just spent 2 weeks in Dubai, there end of November, early December. So I had been pretty comfortable in the car, and made some really good suspension settings I was comfortable with, so I had no worries about getting there later. And I think it helped me a lot, to be honest. Whether or not I want to admit it, leaving your family on Christmas morning is tough, and you're going to think about that subconsciously. And it's not going to put you in a good mood, no matter how much you love racing.
Right.
I'm going to be completely open and honest and real. When things like that happen, it makes you pretty frustrated with racing, and I think I can speak for a lot of people when they say the happier you are, or the more fun you have, the faster you go. And I'm definitely one of those people. So yeah, over those couple of years to where we're leaving on Christmas morning, and all my, I'm watching my family do Christmas and my friends do New Year's and all this stuff. It was a bummer for sure, but this year I should have stoked. I was so happy. I had Christmas at home. I had a couple days to play with my toys. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, it definitely helped out quite a bit. Showing up on 31st, and then it doesn't give you the option to sit there and think. Sometimes you think about the race for too long, and it makes the trip feel way longer than it should. Those extra 2 or 3 days of doing absolutely nothing. But then you could get adjusted to the time change, so you kind of got to pick and choose. But I'm pretty good about getting adjusted to time changes at this point. So yeah, just kind of put up and was ready to go. Went scrutineering the next day. I think I got there about midnight on January 1st. So December 31st, January 1st. Midnight New Year's Day. So we all celebrated together getting off the plane. It was pretty cool. And then went straight the next morning and went scrutineering, threw the race suit on, took photos, and then qualifying the next day. So
Yeah, that was crazy. But so as opposed to showing up early, one, you're fresher. Two, you're in a better mental spot, it sounds like. Three, you haven't spent 2 or 3 days shaking down the race car.
yeah,
So are you at that point, man, let me at it. Let me get
yeah,
in that car. You
yeah,
know,
sure.
I miss it.
Yeah, exactly. The whole time, I think everybody was chomping at the bit just to get in the car. Yeah, just that, like, you get there and you just want to go. I mean, I love Saudi Arabia and I love people there, but I don't want to spend too much time away from home at sometimes. So the
Right.
fact where I can get it done and get into this race and know that it's 2 weeks long is tough on the brain. So the faster we can get into it and we can click these days off, then I think the happier everybody was.
Yeah, I think it really, I mean, you looked happier in your social media stuff leading up to the race, so it definitely made a difference. But you also had a bunch of time, like you said, in the truck. I guess call it a truck.
I call it a truck. Everybody there calls it a car, and they make fun of me for calling it a truck, but it is a truck.
It is a truck.
Yeah.
Technically, it is a truck, right?
It is a Toyota Hilux truck.
Yes. Okay. So we're going to call it a truck. We're stamping it.
Yeah.
We'll call it Seth the truck driver.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So, but you had a bunch of time in the car, like you were saying, November-ish, right? And
Yeah.
so when you go through all that, how much different, like, are there a lot of changes? I'm assuming, they completely disassemble the thing, reassemble it, check every nut and bolt, check every frame fastener for cracks, go through the whole thing. But from the time you step out of the truck in November till you get in it, like the 2nd of January, is there much that changes, or is it just good to be home feeling?
Yeah. I mean, so the reason we went to Dubai was to race, actually, because we were testing a brand new car and get a suspension setting dialed in. And luckily enough, I ended up throwing a Hail Mary at some suspension, different shimming, different valving, and they ended up working way better than anybody ever expected. So the whole team was super stoked on that. And yeah, that was the reason. Another reason why we went was not just to race, was because it was a brand new car. Every year, I mean, obviously here in the States, we can go a couple seasons on a car and it'll be fine with a couple teardowns,
Right.
but not there, man. We're doing Dakar 8,000 miles, and then we got 4 or 5 more 2,000-mile races throughout the year. So by the time you're done racing, your car's pretty hurt. And my car had already been crashed in some testing. Not me driving, but somebody else I'd crashed my car in testing, so it was already a little twisted up. And so yeah, we went to Dubai to go test that new car and get that all dialed in. And I have such a great relationship with my two mechanics. I mean, I talk to them almost every day, and they're my best friends, and we enjoy it so much. I think because I was a mechanic and I was the one that built all my cars, that the
Yep.
respect I have for them and the way that I can talk to them, they appreciate. I'm not just a driver. I can really do it all. So yeah, we ended up testing the new car, and at that point, I don't really worry about it. Like, I know when I get back in that car, everything's going to be the exact same way. I mean, my mechanics are so good; they even go down to the point to where they're measuring how many millimeters I use on my seatbelt tightened, and so I don't have to adjust any belts. I don't have to move my seat. I don't have to move my steering wheel. Everything's marked perfectly, measured perfectly in my exact setup. Those guys are unreal.
Wow, that's amazing. And that's something I'm going to touch on there. Yeah, you've worked on your own stuff your whole life. Uh, but how cool was it? So you actually found the magic sauce for the new suspension over like their engineers and all their specialty guys.
Yeah,
Uh, you were like, nah, guys, how did that go over? I mean, until you proved it out, that's
yeah. They ended up calling it Set was the suspension setting. It was called Set. So uh, me and the guys were working for about a week or 3 days straight. Yeah, 3 days straight, testing different shocks. And
wow.
my teammates, how do I put this? My teammates aren't mechanics. I'm just going to put it that way. They're not
Yeah.
mechanics.
No, they're drivers. Okay.
They're drivers, and they can kind of just drive whatever they get, which is fine. We're just completely
Yeah.
fine. But I like to nitpick and build my own things and have fun with it. But so I would hand off. So the way I was doing is I would build a set with the guys. I talk to them. We come up with some ideas. We brainstorm together. We build a set. I would work on that set until I got that valving as good as I could get it, and then I would hand it over to the next guy. And so my teammate Lucas. So literally, I would take one set, build it, run it all day, hand it over to Lucas for the next day. He could drive on it, do whatever he wants with it, but I have everything written down the way that I like it. Build another set, hand it off. Build another set, hand it off. And I was getting so frustrated. So we had set 11 and set 9, and those two, I wanted everything from this half down and this half up from both sets. And so we sat there for probably like 2 hours just thinking and thinking and thinking and threw a Hail Mary, and it was dark, completely dark. And like, you want to go? I'm like, I got headlights, let's go. And I all I remember is coming back through my test course, just smiling and fist bumping. Just so like, we did it. This is it. Like, it made our Dakar experience 1,000 times better. Like, the first year I raced Dakar, I had no time in the car, zero, no testing, nothing, and got in the car, and my body was hurting by like day 3 or 4, and that just makes you miserable and get frustrated, and you make mistakes. Your brain's tired, and man, that set that I made, I was just stoked the whole entire time. So yeah, the Riger guys and I just put in some serious work and really enjoyed it. I got a lot of pats on the back after the race from all the guys that were using that set. They're like, feeling good, thank you, appreciate that. Like, yeah, no worries, boys. One big family. But no, it goes over a lot better than you would think. When I was younger, with the junior team and that sort of thing, I've been working with these guys a long time. It's the same Riger guys, which is the shocks that we use in Dakar. That we're doing the OT3, that they're doing the T1 now. So it's the same guys. So I've worked with them. At the beginning, they were a little skeptical. I'm a 17, 18-year-old kid trying to tell them what I want and what's going on, and their ideas, and I'm going back and forth on their ideas. But then over time, they understood that I do understand everything about cars, and I can build cars, and I could be on the engineering side too. So no, it went over a lot better than you'd think. I mean, those guys are willing to work just as hard as I am, and they made my Dakar experience so much better.
That's that's incredible. I mean, really, uh, there's probably maybe a handful, I would say less, in my opinion, from what I've seen of Dakar T1 guys that can build a shock.
Yeah,
Drivers.
yeah. I'm gonna put it at a bare minimum for sure.
Yeah. Let alone build a shock correctly.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, dude, that's incredible. On that note, question. So Toyota Gazoo Racing is the big dog. That's your team. Um, yeah. for those of you watching, be sure and check out the video. If you haven't, if you're just listening, go check out the video because his background is mucho fuego. Is that right?
That's good.
Caliente.
That works.
Looks good. I mean, fire suits and years of fire suits back there. I see trophies. Yeah, all kinds of great stuff. That's awesome. So there's a lot of Toyota Gazoo, Toyota Hilux trucks in the T1 or T1 Plus category. Are they all the same team?
So the way it works is there's two Toyota Gazoo drivers. It's me and Lucas.
Okay.
We're the only Toyota guys racing factory drivers. Everybody else is either run by SVR Hall Speed, sponsored by TGR South Africa, or everybody kind of has their own little deal with a privateer through Overdrive, which is who runs everything, and they run everything for us. And so people will think that we get kind of special things here and there, but our cars are built through a privateer team, Overdrive. And so everything that is across all Toyotas that you see around me has all the same exact car, same exact everything. And so the factory part of it, I guess, is just more the livery and the media and we got to present ourselves and that sort of thing. It's a factory drive, but everybody has the same car and same everything.
Okay, I was wondering about that because it's like, you guys basically they're branded Toyota Gazoo, but you guys are the Toyota Gazoo factory team, if you will.
Exactly.
So, and the Overdrive crew is the brainchild behind the OT3 and all that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I've been around these guys my whole career.
So you know those guys well. What you were talking about, what you were talking about there about being the factory and the media and stuff. I have a Cole question because he can't be on right now, and that was one of his questions: was how has the media interaction changed moving through the classes up to the T1 Plus?
It's tough to say just because it stayed pretty similar. Obviously, last year, my first year in T1, I think I got a little bit more coverage, just being so young and the only young kid out there. But not to sound conceited or anything, but I have withheld myself to a standard of doing well every year, I would say. Trying to play nice with my words and not sound like an idiot. I have set a few records throughout the years to where the media has kind of stayed the same, I guess. But I think I've changed more than anything. With the media, I've been a lot more in tune with with what people are saying, what they're talking about, the way I present myself, and because obviously every culture is different, and so you got to be a little bit more cautious on how you present things and yourself and the way you speak. So maybe I just took the California out of me a little bit more. Things, so maybe that's changed quite a bit, and obviously I've grown as a person, and the sport has raised me and changed me in many great ways. I think. I feel like every year I grow as a person after racing that race and have a lot more respect for others and myself. So yeah, I think the media's stayed pretty similar. Maybe they're a little bit more pushy with me. They want to find my mistakes more now, more than ever. Obviously, they've always wanted to do that with me being American and that whole thing going on there for a bit. But I have such a great relationship with all the media guys at this point, just because I'm willing to be the one that's gonna, they're not going to walk up to a Sebastian Loeb or a Carlos Sainz, RV and knock on the door like, hey, can we get an interview? But they know they can come do that with me. And I'm more than willing to come hang out with them. So, yeah, I think hasn't really changed. Mainly, I've gained more respect for them, and they've gained more respect for me. And yeah, obviously, they want to. They're the opposite side of the media, where they're not immediate media. Wants to nitpick and criticize and do this and do that. And when I make a mistake, it's a bigger deal than it used to be. So definitely put some more pressure on me. But yeah, I don't really let it get to me. I'm not on social media too much. I don't have TikTok or Snapchat or any of those things. So I'm just it's either Instagram or I'm gonna go build something. So
Well, and I have Snapchat, but I don't follow any of the media stuff on that. That's specifically for like my family. Um, but yeah, I think it shows your tenacity. Let's put it this way: your tenacity to force them to see the good side of you. Like maybe they want to nitpick, maybe they want to say this, but dude, this year I think you got more coverage, um, just in the little highlight stuff. And like it seemed like after the first maybe um, three stages, it seemed like you were in every T1 recap, every video. It's like, you know, you're maybe it's your willingness to work with them, where whether you've had a good day or a bad day, you're still smiling at the camera. And I think they appreciate that. And like you said, the fact that most of them, at least the ones that are good to you that you're, uh, no, they can come knock on your door and say, "Hey, can we take 2 minutes of your time or whatever? Have you got a minute?" And you do it, and I think they just want to cover you more, right?
yeah, yeah, for sure. I think it also has something to do with my performance this year compared to last year as well. Last year, obviously, didn't perform the best. I had some great qualifying days and quite a few podiums, but really came out swinging this year. And I think it made people realize how hard I had worked in the off season, and I was ready to go, physically, mentally, everything. I mean, I think I put on 12, 15 pounds, and I was training every day, and my mental was there, and I had dealt with some things here that I wanted to just straight focus on racing and really made it my priority. So yeah, I think a lot had changed for sure, and gotten into. I mean, we won the first day. We qualified.
Yeah.
Strategy for qualifying to start further back. Executed the plan. Won the first day. Wasn't supposed to win the first day. I was not supposed to win that day. I didn't want to open the 48-hour.
Right.
But then I think the way that I handled that, I was like, things happen, it is what it is. And when everybody else was kind of freaking out about the 48-hour, they wanted to cover that. And I really enjoyed opening. It was a lot of fun. We actually led a lot of the way even while we were opening, and then we were top three almost until we were done. And obviously had the road book failure to where that took us down for about an hour. But again, same thing, kind of just took a punch to the chin and stood back up and kept going. So I think they enjoy covering stories like that just because it's relatable and it shows character and who I am instead of just kind of a robot type thing. I show emotion. I show, the good, the bad, the ugly. I'll let you know how it is and how it goes. Yeah, just kind of keep it going and just be a real person. And they seem to enjoy it.
Well, and it's unique, right? So many racers across every venue have this, be it good, be it bad, be it whatever, tend to have a media personality, if you will, and the real person, right? And you're just the real person to all those guys. There is no, oh, the camera's on, whatever. Um, I mean, other than maybe forcing a smile when you had a bad day, but that wins them over. Um, and talking about that start, I got another cool question, and this is a good one because you kind of touched on it. What were your personal expectations starting off, like just fresh coming into it, new car? Um, Hit us.
Yeah, I mean, coming in, I was really, really ready to win. Like I said, mentally, physically, I had never ever been in a better place. I've dealt with a lot of pains over the years, just from different accidents and motocross, with my shoulder and my hip, and I had been working on that a lot, and just strength in general. A lot of mental stuff, to be honest. I think a lot of racing is mental. So kind of clearing the head and dealing with a lot of things here that needed to be dealt with before I went racing, and dealt with all that, and then yeah, just kind of train the brain to get into race mode, I guess, and finding my love for racing again. I think people get burnt out a little bit, and maybe I was finding a burnout just from. I mean, I've been racing since I was 11 years old, and I'm 22 now. So put that in perspective of, I've missed out on a lot of things in life, and I've sacrificed a lot in life, and missed my niece and nephew growing up most time, and there's a lot of things that a 22-year-old's never dealt with, and just try to figure out how to deal with those emotions and what to do, and continue loving racing, because it's my passion, it's my love, it's my first love. So yeah, I was definitely coming in ready to win, and I had never had a second guess in that aspect. Um, First day, yeah, just it was almost like I was mad that I wasn't. I just wanted to win so bad every day that I woke up so excited and so just like jittery, and I wouldn't say angry, but I guess just excited to go racing and to throw it all on the table. I mean, if you look into my eyes any day of the week, I was like a psychopath. I don't know what was going on with me. Every single day, I was like a psychopath. So yeah, it's just different than last year for sure. Completely different driving, completely different person, different prep. I put my heart and soul into this one.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like, it's really good introspect, and it's great that you can like look at yourself and say, look, this is where I was, and this is where I am, make the changes that you needed to make, but like go out there and be, you know, that have that 11-year-old excitement 11 years into being a racer, and just like gunsling it.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I really don't know what changed in me. But what I will say is I'm probably my biggest critic, and I think I was criticizing myself a lot, and maybe too much. But that criticism kind of brought me back to what I feel like now, which is good. I was criticizing the way that I was feeling, and the way that I was driving, and the way that I was handling things, um, good or bad. It didn't really matter, and I just wasn't happy with where I was, and who I was at the time, and or as a racer. Personally, I was okay on this side, but just kind of wasn't happy as a racer, because they're two different people. You got to separate those
Right.
two lives. You got to separate those two lives very much. It's two different mindsets. Racing, you're in kill mode. Personal, you are who you are. So yeah, it was. I just kind of criticized myself, and then brought myself back to who I think I needed to be, and it ended up working. So I was pretty grateful for that.
Wow. That's wise words, young man. Wise words. Um, Dude, it's like you were definitely, I would say, in gunslinger mode this year from what I saw. Um, New car, same program as last year, basically, right?
Yep, same
But
program.
all new car, all totally different stage setup as anything before. And yeah, I was like, Cole had to text me. I was out of town working, and Cole had to text me that you had won stage one. And I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. And I'm like, oh, he's got to open the chrono, which is like basically pretty much a brand new idea, right? And so, how did, like, okay, I know you and Dennis are close, and opening is from I obviously never experienced it, but opening, from what everybody says, is probably the worst. It's like, cleaning sewer pipes in a restaurant. Um, and knowing that you're opening the chrono, but then as soon as that's over, you're going to the what do they call it? The 48 hour
The marathon.
marathon. Yeah. So the chrono's the 48 hour, and the marathon is immediately after it. Um, Dude, how do you deal with that mentally? Like, you're gonna be basically for 4 days, you and Dennis are gonna be the guys that have to work on the cars.
Yeah, I mean that part of it doesn't bug me at all. I almost want to get in there most time with the mechanics and help them work at night, just because I feel and so that part doesn't bug me at all. The 48 hour, I wasn't worried about, to be completely honest with you. I don't know. Again, just the mental state that I had, was in a really, really good spot with who I thought I was at the time, and um, went into the 48-hour stage, and I was excited. I'm like, let's do it. I mean, this is a new learning experience, and it's either going to work or it's not going to work. So let's figure it out. Can't change it now. So why mourn on it? Just let it go. So we went into that stage. And that stage was 960 kilometers to over 2 days.
Yeah.
And we led, and this was really cool as well. I gained a lot of respect from the bike guys as well. We led all the way to the refuel, which was kilometer 350 something.
Wow.
So with people starting right behind us, and we have no track on the road, and I know people talk about cars opening and bikes opening. There was no bike lines, no nothing. This is just me, just the car, just driving. We didn't get past for 350 something kilometers. Obviously, we had people catch us at one point. Toby Price and Prokop caught us at some point, and they were following us through the dunes. And then we were almost going to run out of fuel. So yeah, we were almost going to run out of fuel, get to the refuel. So then Toby went right by us, and about half a kilometer later, he was stuck. So then we went right back by. So I guess I can't say I led the whole thing, but we led most of it. But yeah, that was a really awesome experience, and yeah, I think we dealt with it really well. I think in that 350 kilometers, we had only lost, I think, 9 or 10 minutes, which when opening is absolutely nothing. I mean,
Right.
very proud of the work that we did, and we got to the refuel, and unfortunately, that's where our road book issue started happening. And when you're opening and you don't have a road book or a compass heading, it's literally impossible. So ended up having to wait a little bit of time and had to let some people in front of us, which was pretty frustrating after the day that we had, or beginning of the day that we had. So then we went another, I couldn't even tell you how many kilometers. Yeah, I really couldn't tell you how many more kilometers we went on that day, but ended up going back to probably around fourth, halfway through the second part of the day after the refuel, and then I ended up opening again for a bit there through the dunes. My compass heading would freeze and it would come on every once in a while. And one time it came back on when the guys made a mistake. I was like, oh, we got to go this way. And charged off. Here comes the wolf pack again right behind me. So that was pretty fun. All the greats too. I mean, it was myself, Yazid, Nasser, Loeb, Hank, Lucas, Toby, all of us in a wolf pack, just getting after it. And it was so much fun. Learned a lot there, and then got to the refuel, the rest point, which I think was about 690 kilometers into the day.
Oof.
So we had already been in the car for, I think, 14 or 15 hours at that point. And then shout out Mom. I ended up making my tent, Dennis's tent, and I had my MRE Birria. So shout out Mom for that one. Worked on the car a little bit, but everything was perfect. Really didn't make any catastrophic mistakes all day, so everything was tight and neat, and we had any big moments. So we were all good there on that end. Made the tent, woke up about 4:30 the next morning, I would say, maybe a little bit earlier, and then took off in the dark there in the morning with about 330 kilometers to go or something like that, I believe, starting 6th on road. And we went about 25 kilometers and everybody got lost. So it turned into another mess on the second part of the stage. And everybody grouped up. Seemed like there was a little bit of an issue there, and then we took off again. And I think we finished 4th on road after opening, after 960 kilometers. So I was really happy with that. Obviously, we lost a lot of time with the road book issue, but didn't let it take us down, and ended up winning the next day. So that was pretty cool. Just kind of kept charging every day, kept charging, didn't really care how bad my day was going. I just wasn't going to let it get to me, and put my head down and kept on going.
Man, that's so gnarly. Like, I mean, literally, you went what, almost 700K off road in a day, so 350, almost between 350, 400 miles, basically.
I think it's around 450, yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah. So,
but the problem with that part was, so 450 miles isn't bad, obviously racing, but when you're doing 200 kilometers of dunes that you're averaging 60 kilometers an hour, so 40 something miles an hour, that's where it gets bad. So that's where all that time goes. And like, say we're racing in Mexico, we're going to be done with that 500 hours or 500 miles in what, 9 hours or so, somewhere
Yeah.
around there, 9-10 hours. Where we're doing 300K of dunes in 9 hours. So just like stuff like that, it was definitely pretty tough. But just keep on rolling, I guess, and see how the rest of the day plays out.
What's the conversation in the car like um when you guys were having roadbook issues and stuff like that? Because they have maybe people aren't that familiar, but basically roadbook is pretty much a map, right?
Yeah.
To an extent, it's a map in basic non-racing terms. It's a map that gives you your kilometers, your turns, where you have to be, and you have, in essence, like, do they have virtual waypoints there? You have
Yep.
waypoints
Yep.
and virtual waypoints, correct?
Yep. So it's basically it's like a giant scroll. Fortunate enough, we have electronic ones now, but it looks like, so basically the only things that it'll tell you is which junctions to split on, what compass heading to go to at a certain kilometer, um, a couple triple cautions, and that's about all you get. And you got to race 900 kilometers on that. So
Yeah, and when you have like your compass failure or roadbook failure, and I'm assuming that was across everybody. I know some of the bike guys had it too. Um, did they have it at the same time?
no, so that was day one. Day one, there was an
Okay.
issue where everybody lost signal on the primary because of something that there was some sort of bug. Oh, so the collision alert ended up putting a bug in the machine, and that was day one. But fortunately enough, I have a great co-pilot, and he knew exactly what to do, and he switched to the secondary, and we were right back on our way in 5 seconds. So that wasn't an issue for us. Our issue was definitely a lot different. Nobody else had that issue, unfortunately, the whole race. Not unfortunately, fortunately, nobody else had that issue the whole race. We would basically just be at a standstill on the road, but nothing would move. My compass heading wouldn't change. So, I mean, obviously there's 360 degrees, and every degree you can see it. I couldn't see one of those degrees. I couldn't see nothing. So I had no idea where I was going.
Wow.
So just kind of hoping and praying. And it's not all compass heading. So at some points, it'd be different splits, or go right to this tree up and over this dune. You would kind of look for it and see it. And then I read the road book a lot myself when I'm driving. So like, I think one of the days, we ended up getting lost, and we're scrolling. I see power lines, and I'm going to the power lines. It's like simple stuff like that. We end up finding the waypoint. But yeah, it's fortunate that it didn't happen to anybody else, but it's unfortunate that it happened to us.
It's for those of you who are conspiracy theorists, like myself. It's odd that yours, especially after winning stage one, that yours was the only one that had that kind of failure. I'm just saying, I'm not saying anything. I'm saying it's odd. So, um, stranger things have happened to Americans in Dakar for as long as it's been going. So I'm just saying. But now, that's all part of it. I understand that. What's the conversation in the car like, though, when stuff like that happens? You guys you and Dennis have raced together a long time, in essence, and done a lot of different terrain, a lot of different disciplines. Um, is it calm? Is it like, shit, it stopped? What do we got to do?
It's pretty calm, to be completely honest, because we know it's 2 weeks long. We're only on our second day. Like, obviously there's frustration, but Dennis and I work really well together to the point where it wasn't too frustrating. Obviously, in my head, I'm probably a little bit more frustrated than he is, but he takes it very serious as well. So I could be completely wrong there, but it wasn't a lot of disarray in the car. It was just confusion. Like, why us? Why is this happening? We know how to deal with these things, and what we need to do. And the worst thing you can do is get worked up. And overexcited or over anxious on what's going on. So yeah, really just kind of take that second to calm down, assess the situation, what we could do, what's going to happen, just like understand what's going to happen and accept it no matter what part that is. I think that's the best thing that we could do. I think when you're trying to deny, and those things happen, that it just frustrates you even more. So yeah, just kind of accepting our fate and what we were about to go through and the time that we were going to lose and how to fix it and all these different things. And the worst part was it happened on the 48-hour day, so there was nobody there to fix it. Because it
Right.
was a bug inside the computer system. It's not like we could, fix anything. It was a bug inside the ERTF book. So to not have anybody there on the 48-hour day either to swap because we had to swap the whole unit out. It was completely fried. So we knew that was going to happen. So we're trying to play a guessing game on who's going to open. Do they have a good co-driver? Where do we want to start on the day? So yeah, there was a lot that went on, but I wouldn't say there was a lot of frustration, just a lot of acceptance.
Yeah. Well, and that's, you know what? That's mature and it's smart. And it's, it's kind of like the guys when, you race moto, when you go down and you get back up, um, there's the rider that whiskey throttles off the next jump or the next whoop because he's so wound up. And there's the rider that hits the whoops perfect after getting back up and just goes, okay, we got to get back at it. Um, and it sounds like you're the rider that got up, got the bike up, straightened the levers, took your time, and like hit the whoops and clean, obviously, because you still finished almost in the top 5. That was real close there.
Yep.
At the end, when you got to the what was it? What do they call it? Checkpoint for the night, or your
Yeah.
stopping point?
Zone E. So it was Camp Zone E.
Yeah. So you guys weren't like you were 6th on the road, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you weren't that far back.
No, not at all.
Which, considering everybody else had the road book and you had opened, pretty solid.
Yeah, we were super stoked. I mean, we came into the checkpoint and we are like, oh well, we're still right in this thing. It was kind of our plan worked out. Our plan really did work out. Like you said, people get frustrated and freak out and make more mistakes, and I've been that person for sure. I'm not going to deny that. I've definitely had those moments where I'm pissed off and I made another mistake because I was mad. But thank God I didn't do that this time, and we just kind of accepted everything how it was, and yeah, ended up being really not a bad day at all.
Yeah, that's impressive. And so did you have to change out the unit yourself, you and Dennis?
No, so when we got back from the 48-hour, the mechanics had prepped the car that night, and we start the marathon the next day. So, but even if we could change it out, we didn't have access to the ERTF. ERTF is its own entity. It's like racing tracks. You can't build it yourself or fix it yourself. You got to get it from those guys. So
Okay.
there was nobody there at the checkpoint for us. Even if they had it, we couldn't swap it out. We could swap it out ourselves, but you're not supposed to touch them. Like, they don't want you touching them. They want you messing with them. We have Erie Track and ERTF. We've got a lot going on in the car for safety things
Oh, yeah.
and navigation. So even if there was somebody there, we couldn't have swapped it out. Obviously, we would have, but there wasn't even anybody there. So
Yeah, I wondered about that, and I wondered how that works. So a great answer, because I didn't know. I mean, you guys carry like every nook and cranny of that race truck has spare parts.
Yep.
And I didn't know if you had spare computers. I would guess you probably have spare ECUs and stuff like that just in case, but I didn't know about your road book. So that's cool. Good info. So you had to, after having this issue, sleeping in a tent, having mom's home cooked meal. When, dude, I was laughing so hard because you have mom's home cooked meal and everybody else was eating food out of bags and cardboard boxes.
yeah, I've been in the game long, and I don't know what these guys are doing. I've been in the game long enough to know that it's gonna be hell. Like, there's no easier way to put it. It's gonna be hell. So I've been around. I know, and after racing for 14, 15, 16 hours, you don't want to eat military slop rations from Saudi Arabia. No matter who you are, even if you're from Saudi and you're in the military and you love those things, you still don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So I've always bring my own food, and I packed that truck full of stuff. So I was good to go on that aspect.
That's awesome. Did you share with Dennis at least?
No. No, every man for himself out there.
So then, after having this issue, I really intended on being further through the race by now, but after having this issue with the road book and being the only one that happened to, then you're starting sixth the next day, right? And you guys have gone through, checked and prepped and done everything you can. Is it in the back of your mind that you had this major roadbook issue before you head out, another 300 or 400K through the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, so I mean, we woke up that morning after the tent and prepping the car, and I'm like, well, I wish I could have prepped the ERTF, so that's frustrating. So it's hard to get a good mindset to wake up next day and go racing when you know you already have an issue before you start. So that's pretty frustrating. But I think we handled it pretty well, to be honest.
Yeah, and man, you guys were racy the whole time. Like there was so much. You went into the chrono straight from that. So your guys ripped the car apart and put it back together for you, got it all ready. And you went into or the is that what it is? The chrono, the 48?
40-hour. Or sorry, it was the marathon stage.
The marathon, yeah. So you get right back in, go back and go 48 hours. So you do how many K was first day of that?
Oh, I think 530.
Yeah. Whew. Almost 350, almost 400 miles.
Yeah, just about 400 miles.
Yeah. And then again, you're in a tent.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, we're right back in the tents. So now that I think about it, my mind's all jumbled up, but it was 48-hour prep day, race one day. We ended up getting third that day, and then go to the marathon the following day.
Yeah.
So we had one big race, but that wasn't a short race day. That was another 600K race day between the 48-hour and the marathon. And we went right into the marathon, which was 500 and something the first day and 400 something the next day. Had a bunch of issues again after starting the marathon. These 40-hour stages just don't like me for some reason. Had some issues there. Fixed everything at the bivouac, as you would call it, because again, the marathon, you work on your car again, which again I have no issues with. Enjoy it most of the time, and then starts the next day after having all those issues. Luckily enough, we had everything in the car and we were good to go. But we had no spare tires.
That's
That's
what I was gonna bring up next.
yeah. So we had no spare tires going into the second day of the marathon, and I knew we had already lost. It was the first week, and I knew we had already lost over an hour, and I was like, "It's time! Like I'm gonna turn it on. It's time." We had been every day but one that week. We had been on the podium, basically on the stages. It was basically flip flopping every day. So we'd either first, second, third, every other day, which was awesome, and I was really enjoying it. I went into the second part of the marathon just pretty frustrated, I would say. Just a lot of things out of my control, and no matter how I changed my driving or whatever happened, like I just couldn't control some things. So into the second day of the 48-hour, second day of the marathon, just upset for sure. Had no spare tires in the truck, and I said, "Let's run it, Dennis." And then we ended up winning that day. And so there's always these. I feel like I've done this too many times. I'll have a really, really bad day, and I'll come back the next day and I'll win. So I'm tired of those days. I want those days to be over. For sure. But it was a little jump start again for sure to go out and win that day.
But then to do that without any spares, and like folks, you get the 4 tires on your car and 2 spares to start out the day, right? In this case, to start out the 48-hour marathon. So you, in essence, have to make those 6 tires last 2 days.
Yes, exactly.
And you used them up. You used 2/3 of them up, or a third of them up in the first day and then went out and just hit full send.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we actually ended up getting 3 flats the first day. So I have a photo of it. I'll have to bring it up. I put 15 plugs in a tire, somehow to stick, and kept going. It was a trip. I'll find the photo, but got the plugs to stick, kept going, and then next day was just mad and just went for it. Ended up getting the truck. The truck can come to the marathon, so the race T5, it's in the race and it carries spare parts. Everybody doesn't, and so they had. We have 8 Toyotas though. That's the problem, and everybody had 2 to 3 flats minimum. The rocks in Saudi Arabia, for anybody listening, are no joke. They're sharper than anything you've ever seen in your life. Like, they will cut through your shoe in a heartbeat just stepping on them. It's not like Mexico where they're rounded off, or anywhere else in the world like Johnson Valley where they're round rocks. These are razor blades from a volcano. I got my one tire to put on my car to get the plug tire off. That was only holding like 0.4 bar or something. So I could have able to race on that tire. If I needed to limp, I probably could have limped it. But yeah, I'll find the photo. There's about 15 to 20 plugs in there, and it held enough for us to get to the finish. So, but yeah, just kind of kept rolling, and somehow went out and won that next day, and it was a rewarding feeling, to say the least.
Oh yeah, talk about persevering. I message you pretty much every day. I know for sure every day that you had a toughie.
I don't know what's gonna work. There it is.
Oh yeah. Holy cow. Oh man. Folks, you got to tune into this on video, because in the sidewall too, where all the flex is. Holy crap. That's that, and you ran that.
Yeah.
And to finish that first the first section of the 48.
Yep.
Or the marathon. Wow. Dude. So did you head out with 4 good tires and
4 on the car? Yes. Went out next day with 4 on the car.
And 2 flats in storage.
Yep.
Yep. And just sent it and won the stage. It's like, well,
yeah. And we finished the second day on a flat.
Wow.
So once we were like 5 to 10 kilometers from the finish, I turned it up again. And I'm like, I can finish on the flat now. Let's run it. And so I really turned on the afterburners the last 10 Ks and finished on it. I ended up getting the flat just because I wasn't being. I didn't care. I'm like, let's go. I'm gonna go as fast as I can. But for some reason, I didn't have. Maybe it was a good thing or a bad thing that I knew this at the end of the race. I'm glad I didn't know at the beginning of the race. My tire pressure monitoring system wasn't working.
Oh.
The whole entire time, I thought I had all good tires all the time. So even if I had a slow leak, I would have never known. And so thank God that maybe they didn't work, because I would have probably changed up my driving. We're coming to the finish line, the car's like, bow, 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 and dragging and sliding. Well, Dan, I think we just ripped the hub off, because that was the hub that we had replaced that last night during the marathon, because we were having issues with it. Had a bunch of slop in it. And so that was the hub that we replaced. But I had to center punch out with an Allen key a bunch of the pins to slide it into the arm. It was all a mess. It was the wrong it was all a big old mess. And so I thought that I had one of the dowel pins that I had tried to pop in had broke or something, and something went wrong. So I'm like, hey, we ripped the hub off. Like, we're gonna have to wait for somebody. And mind you, I'm crossing the finish line and I can't see out the car. And so I hop out of the car and take a look. I'm like, oh, we have a flat. And I look at the dash. I'm like, it doesn't say we have a flat. So thank God it didn't work. I probably had a flat for a while because it was pretty bad and I just didn't know it.
Man, and go ahead. Sorry.
It had completely ripped the whole tire off the wheel.
Wow.
It was tapping the fender. And so it was definitely flat for quite a while. I just didn't know it.
And I know through both those stages, in watching the recaps, everybody went through tires like in what seemed like every class. I even saw a motorcycle. One of the bike guys had his tire had like 10 plugs in a bike tire trying to keep it together. Just the rocks, just so sharp that.
Yeah, it was just really luck of the draw. I mean, I don't know anybody that didn't get at least 2 flats, and unfortunately, we were getting 3. But 2 of my flats were on the top of the tire going slow. to put that in perspective, on a 37-inch tire, 8-layer steel wound BFG tire, like for that to go through that tire, it's got to be real sharp. And there's people parked all over the place. And no matter how slowly it went, it's not the tire's fault at all, to be completely honest. It was just that lava sharp rock. It's just literally, I was talking to a couple of media people and they said that it was going through their shoes. And so
Wow.
the rocks to go through your shoes and cut you on your foot, they've got to be pretty dang sharp. They're just razor blades out there. So yeah, unfortunately, we had two on top of the tire, and it would rip the whole lug off, and it's hard to plug that. And then we had one on the sidewall, which obviously sidewalls are most of the time my fault. Actually, I'm driving the car, so all the flat tires are my fault. But the sidewall, unfortunate, because that one actually I was probably going less than 5 miles an hour for. It just was climbing up a hill real slow. I knew it was rocky. I was following a car. All was good, and then just kind of hopped just a little bit, and I knew it instantly. And it was it was a big bummer, but what are you gonna do now?
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, and I even saw like the big trucks. One of the big trucks was changing a tire. So, you got your badass BFGs, which, like you said, stood the test of time through that whole deal. I mean, you made it the second half. On what was on the car, right? And one of them was going down. So shout out to your guys over at BFG.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially when you see those big giant trucks, and one of them was actually changing a tire. I'm like, oh, that would suck.
Yeah, I mean, you got those trucks with 50-inch tires, maybe bigger, actually, I don't know, but yeah, massive tires. And actually, our T5 truck, our big trash truck, so usually they skip half the stage all the time and go to a neutral point and then finish. They couldn't even get to the halfway. They couldn't make it halfway. They ended up getting 3 flats themselves in the big truck, and so they didn't get in until probably 2:30 in the morning of the marathon day.
Wow.
So we didn't even know if we were going to have tires for the next day at all because the truck wasn't here yet, and we had no communication with them.
Ooh, that's a whole nother factor too, is the communication factor out there. So now we're up to what, through stage 5, stage 6.
We're on rest day now, yeah. So we're passing rest day after all that.
Yeah, and that's got to feel good. And I thoroughly enjoyed you guys sitting down with Austin.
Yeah.
I probably watched that 3 times.
Oh, rad.
I really enjoy that. It's like for all of us at home that are there cheering you guys on, to me, it's like, yeah, you get to see like a little bit of candid, let's talk about stuff, but they look relaxed, like they're actually relaxing for a day and, having a good time.
Yeah, for sure. Rest day is usually not rest day for us. Rest day is usually media day for us. Honestly, probably our busiest day, if I'm gonna be completely honest. But it's nice not being in a race suit, even though actually that day I got in my race suit for some media stuff, which should not happen. Should not be happening. But no, it was nice to kind of just see how everybody's race is going, catch up with people back home because I would say 5 out of the 6 first days that we were there, we had no service. So I wasn't even able to post anything on Instagram, wasn't able to talk to anybody. Very rarely, like on the road sections, I would find some service, but it was nice to sit down and talk to people back home for a day and relax and catch up.
Well, yeah, and then you head back out and like what, you have one stage and then you head off to the empty quarter where you have no service again.
Exactly. So we had one more day of being around there and then we were out of there again for the rest of the week.
Navigating the dunes out there, because they are massive.
Mm-hmm.
You have a road book, but you have to find a line. Like your road book is basically go here to here. There's a dune. By the way, there's a big dune right here.
Yes. So yeah, navigating the dunes. For anybody that doesn't know, the dunes in Saudi Arabia, if you've ever been to Glamis or Dumont, the dunes are 10 times the height, and they go on for about a 10,000-mile radius. So there's a lot of dunes out there, but now,
10,000 mile.
yeah, it's about that sort of radius. No, it's probably like 5,000-mile radius, but
Wow.
you get the point.
Yeah.
So we ended up, so opening the dunes is honestly not too hard, depending on the waypoints. So you have different waypoints. It's 300-meter radiuses, 60-meter radiuses, 800-meter radiuses. So they're all different. But opening the dunes, so usually when everybody's in Glamis or Dumont, you're going to ride the ridge and you're going to go have fun and you're going to flow and it'll be enjoyable.
Right.
You have to be so precise in these dunes because when you hit the exact waypoint and the road book tells you, okay, now go cap 235 for 10 kilometers, and then you have to be within a 300-meter radius of that point. And so you're going 10 kilometers and you're going left and right, trying to go straight up and over, but you can't always do that. So you're cutting left and right to follow this cap, but you have to average it out. And so say I went left 20 degrees to the left for 50 meters. Now I got to go 40 degrees to the right for X amount of time to even it back out, even it back because you don't know. Like you're trying to stay on this exact line. And what I usually end up doing is I'll slow down as soon as Dennis will tell me, hey, cap 235 for 10K. I'll slow down and I'll start picking my points so I can look ahead. I'm like, okay, right here, cap 235, that's my dune I want to go to. So I'll go a kilometer staring at that dune. And then when I get to that dune, I'm like, okay, straight 235, pick another spot. And so I'll pick points along the way, but you're going to go left and right no matter what. You can't go straight through dunes that are, a mile high at this point, quarter mile to a mile high. So yeah, it's pretty tough opening in the dunes if you do it wrong, because when you do it wrong, it's really, really wrong.
Yeah, I wondered about that because there's really no or very little visual reference. I mean, when you get over one dune, it just looks like more dunes, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the 40 hour actually opened probably almost 200 kilometers of that in dunes.
Wow. Which you led.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's rad. Well, and that's, but that goes back to all your recreational riding and driving, being out in Glamis. I know you like that kind of stuff, and your family was out in the dunes or in Ocotillo all the time. So you really grew up doing that. So you're maybe have more of a natural, like, okay, this is what it is, and find the flow, because there's got to be some kind of flow. Rather, like you said, you've got to worm your way up one because it's so huge. That has its own art to it, right? I saw some footage on one of the recaps. I think it was T1 hot moments of the day or something. And somebody was struggling, and you must have made, dude, I think you made a quarter mile or half mile up on them, coming up like a dune, and it seemed like there was some grass, and your line was different, and you just ate them for lunch and then blew him off going over past him right at the top, which, the guy's got to be in there, and he's like, oh, thank God. Whoa, there goes Seth. Ah, damn it.
Yeah. I think my motocross background helps a lot with that kind of stuff, though. I think the line choice and selection and looking further ahead than most comes from a motocross background.
Dude, it's great to see. So, okay, you finished you guys finished? No, you had the final two of the final three stages were empty quarter, or three of the final four.
The whole entire final stages were the empty quarter.
Yeah, and then the very last one was almost like a sprint, wasn't it?
It was a 61-kilometer sprint that I had opened as well. But that was all dunes as well, but short, really fast dunes, which really fit my driving style. And so the last day it was the mass start, and I ended up pulling the whole shot. Going back to my work days, pulled the whole shot, and just ran. I think we put 2 minutes on the guys behind us. That started with us through the dunes, which is tough to get away from people in the dunes, but I was just like, let's get it. Like I'm just gonna see what this thing's got. It's the last day. I'm awake. Let's go.
That's that's I mean, I watched that whole shot and it reminded me of the works being at works races and being at world championships, even in that 170. It's like I was there by the fence that very first UTV world championship
Yep.
that you won the Razor 170 class, and dude, you had a monster hole shot and led the whole race.
I think I just get so nervous on the start line or so excited that my reaction time. So like what kind of off topic, but one really cool thing with Red Bulls, I get to do a lot of testing.
Yeah.
And my reaction times and my cognitive thinking are in the 100th percentile. And so like
Nice.
my reactions on starts and everything, when I see a flicker, I'm ready to go. So I'm just it's a lot of fun.
How cool was it to do that mass start?
Yeah, it was super cool. I think everybody is really scared because nobody had ever started next to somebody before. But I think if you look at mine and Mitch as well, if you look at our starts, we just took off, cut over, and we were gone. And so like it was a lot of fun. I don't know how Mitch ended up doing that day, but it was a lot of fun off the start just because it's we're so used to banging doors all the way to the first corner and then doing a 180. So
Right.
It was just wide open flat into the dunes. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to check up. And there's a pretty funny photo of me just jumping, however many feet to flat in front of a cop. It was right off the start. And it was just a lot of fun.
Oh, that's awesome. And what an experience, man. I mean, you have been like, that was a first ever for Dakar, at least in its current state. Um, the 40 48-hour stage, if you will, was the first ever. How cool is that? Like, not only are you, I think until this year, you were the youngest stage winner ever.
Still am, yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought there was another 18-year-old kid that won a stage.
No. So I was the youngest ever to win a T1 stage.
Okay.
For a few days, and then I got that got beaten by a kid that's about a year younger than me. So,
okay.
Yeah, so that's what I had ended up losing. But yeah, still the youngest.
Still the youngest to ever win a Dakar stage, and still undefeated most Dakar stage wins.
Yep.
In a race. So, that's some pretty big accolades, but like just to be able to, how cool is it? Okay, you put all that behind you, mass start, hit the dunes, and you knew they were going to be short, fast dunes. Did you get out there and you're just like, woohoo,
Yeah.
that rip tater chip?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun that day and just wanted to go as fast as I could and enjoy it for what it was. Just kind of put a good stamp on the last day of the rally to get me excited for the following year, or even Abu Dhabi coming up here pretty shortly, which is going to be in the dunes. But yeah, I just wanted to see what she had and see if I needed to make any adjustments, if I needed to go full send another day. But yeah, maybe I just wanted to finish the race faster and be done. Maybe that's what it was too. But yeah, whatever I could do to get to that finish line first and the fastest, that's what I was going to do.
Well, maybe it was that because, we have from your first time on the show, I have your quote, that Dakar is the best,
worst 2 weeks of your life,
but worst, most miserable 2 weeks of your life. Yeah.
That's right. And I will say that until I die. That is right.
Well, it's got to wear you down, especially with the format the way it was this year. It had to be exhausting to go through like the 48 and then the marathon, basically back to back, one day and a real bivouac in between, or one night. Sorry, it wasn't one day; it was one night,
night.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
One night. So one night you get to sleep in your fancy RV this year.
I think it's sweet.
Yeah. And then you're right back out and in a tent on a thin foam mattress and, doing your thing. That it was great to see you smiling all the time, even though I knew probably there were times when you didn't want to smile.
Yeah. Kind of going back on what you're saying about it being so grueling, it's not just that it was so grueling this year, but the level of competition now has changed drastically over the time that I've been there. The T3 and T4 class had always been so competitive because it was affordable. Everybody could get into it. There's always heavy hitters that had been there a long time in T3 and T4. When I stepped into T1, I swear every manufacturer joined, every racer came over to race. Like
Yeah.
I got bombarded with everybody. I mean, there's 20 dudes that can go out and win on any given day. So, that's not even the race isn't even the hardest part at this point anymore. It's this pace that we have to go. I mean, back in the day, the pace was just like if you got 10th place every day, you probably win the race. But now, if you don't get top 5 or top 3 every day, somebody else is going to beat you.
Wow.
So that's
What a
changed quite a bit.
what a great perspective. And that's kind of, if you think about it, that's kind of what has happened with like Vegas to Reno.
Yeah, for sure. Same way. Vegas Reno used to be a longevity race.
Yeah, if you
Even
could survive, you
the
were
years
going
that
to
I
be.
won it right here, I had a full sprint every day, or
Yeah.
every.
And you had your dad as a co-driver.
That's right, I did. Yeah. So last time I raced Vegas to Reno, 2023. Wait, I won Vegas to Reno 3 times.
Yeah.
Oh, 2023. So I won 2019, 2020. I raced 21, got 4th, skipped 22, raced 23 with my dad. And it wasn't even just like trying to like be funny or do anything. I just love hanging out with my dad, and I didn't have anybody else. And I was like, let's just go, Dad. Like this will be fun. Yeah, Vegas Reno was rad at winning that race with him. It was a full-blown sprint all the way to the finish. So yeah, like you were saying, that race, I bet in 2019, I probably wasn't driving at 100% every single mile of that race. But 2020 and 2023, I was at 110% every second.
Yeah, and that seems to be the pushing progression of off-road in general, which for fans, it's great. For drivers, it probably sucks.
It does. It does. I was talking to Toby Price, and he's like, "This pace is nuts." I'm like, "Yeah, this sucks, dude. This is horrible. We're driving like freaking some Lucas Oil race right now, but we've got 14 days and 8,000 miles to go."
Yeah. Yeah, that's wow. Dude, that's amazing perspective, and it's like crazy. You brought up Toby, and that is a question that I have wrote down to ask you or Mitchie, because we're going to get a Dakar download from Mitchell Guthrie, here in a couple of weeks, probably. I was hoping I could get you both on, but he's at Hammers. So, anyway, Toby was slaying it and had to retire due to severe concussion. Co-driver got a bad concussion. I saw this year more than I've seen in previous years. I think there was 3 teams, 3 T1 teams that withdrew from co-driver concussion. What's your take on that? Like for someone like me, it's just another concussion, right? I mean, I'm used to them by now. I shouldn't say it that way. No, it's like I look at things like why are all of a sudden people getting concussions?
It's not all of a sudden that people are getting concussions. I think just the people that got concussions had been hurt enough to not push through them, like Sam. So Sam, Toby's co-pilot, absolute gangster on a bike. He's won just everything under the sun. But if you, from him crashing so much, if you flick that guy's head, he's going to get knocked out. but Dennis and I multiple times have I mean, I think twice in the race. I knocked Dennis out one time. This race driving. I had to fully stop one time because Dennis and I both were just couldn't see. We're just foggy. You know that foggy you get when
Yep.
you get rung. Both of us were foggy, and I had to stop until my eyes came back. Multiple times, I think 2 or 3 times. And then obviously knocking Dennis out isn't cool. I think it's just the people that it happened to didn't have the chin to keep going after that. Sam is an absolute gangster, and I've got nothing but good things to say about that guy. But he has rung his bell quite a few times riding moto, and even talking to some of the bike guys, like that doesn't surprise us at all. I mean, they say that way they've seen that guy just laid over in a corner and get knocked out. So it's unfortunate. Toby was doing great. I think he was in the top 10, having some good days. But I wouldn't say on the bright side. On the contrary of that, watching the respect that the bike guys gave us after Toby and Sam raced that race, and they talked to them and told them how gnarly it is. They gave us a whole different type of respect and outlook now. They thought we were just sitting there and everything was all cool and everything was no worries. And, we're lazy.
In your air conditioning or
Yeah,
heating. And
yeah. Sam and Toby explained it to him, and it was really cool and really fun to watch all the bike guys have a different perspective and a different understanding and a different respect for us car drivers. Because we praise those guys so much, and then most time they don't really give us any just because they think we're lazy. We just sit in the couch. But yeah, it's I mean, it's not comfortable in there. We're in a very tight cab and in tight seats, and we have a halo, and we're smacking our heads every 10 seconds. So yeah, it's unfortunate that we had a few people drop out due to concussions. Also, lots of crashes this year, which also talks the pace that we're running is getting out of hand. I would say a lot more crashes, even from the greats. I mean, Carlos Sainz, Sebastian Loeb, Elias Sainz. Those people are amazing, well-established drivers. A couple of the most winning ever, and they're crashing. The pace that we're running isn't for the weak anymore. And obviously those guys aren't. I'm not saying that at all, but
right.
Just put that in perspective. Even these guys are making mistakes at this pace. So it's all changed quite a bit.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about that too, and I'm glad you brought all that in together because it makes sense. About Carlos and Loeb, and their crashes. Like, I mean, these are the guys that right at the beginning of this podcast are in that legend status that you were talking about. I mean, true legends, and hardcore sons of bitches.
Yeah, no better way to put it than that. They're scary for sure.
Yeah, and they're out because they crashed, and Carlos crashed early.
Yeah, he crashed on the 48-hour day.
Yeah, first day, right?
Yep, he front flipped off a dune.
Yeah, and that's what you attribute a lot of that to? Because I mean, you're a Toyota Gazoo guy. That was a new Raptor T1 Plus program. But suspension wise and stuff, I mean, Mitchie made it through. Is it just the pace? Is just that like you have to push so hard that even a little tiny miscalculation puts you out of the race?
Yeah, exactly. When you want to go out and try to win a stage, that's what happened to all the people that crashed. They wanted to go and win a stage.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can run a 10th place pace and try to be, somewhere in the top 10 in the overall at the end of the rally. But some people want to go out and try to win every single day, or whatever it is, or they're trying to push to make up time, whatever it is. And if you watch Loeb's video, especially, obviously there's no video of Carlos's, but I can tell you Carlos came off of a dune that was a perfect square edge on the bottom, tried to lock it up off the top and locked it on the bottom and front flipped over it. Sort of off the bottom of it. So that's what happened to him. Laya Sainz actually crashed right in front of me. She was trying to run down, maybe trying to run down Mitch. I think we had caught Mitch, maybe somebody. I think it was Mitch. But she just hopped offline and ripped an arm off and then went for, a couple cartwheels right in front of me. And that's the day that I had won the first day when everybody was confused. But I had stopped for a couple minutes to help her, and they obviously give you that time back. But yeah, going back to Loeb's video, and specifically what I'm talking about that is if you go back and watch Loeb's video, you see the main race line. And there's a cut that probably cuts off half of a car around, a little slight right hand. And he wants
Right.
every person, you get further and further back, every person's going to cut a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more.
Sure.
They're going to push right or push left, depending on what turn it is. And Loeb, what he did was he had cut to the right to try to shave off just, 0.002 of a second. But that's what it's going to take to win these. I won stage 5 by 1 second. So that's just kind of what it takes to win these stages, even after 300-400 miles. What he did was he cut that little bit, and then there was a hole that nobody else hit because nobody else had cut that yet. And he hit that hole and bottomed out the right rear and went for a ride. So him trying to shave off 0.002 of a second and try to win that stage is exactly why that he crashed.
That was I didn't see Sains's flip. I don't know if they got that on camera.
I need board, but I just haven't taken a look.
But I believe they did get Loeb's on camera, and that was violent. It was just like you said, a snap roll, and it was party over,
Yeah, there was no saving that one.
Yeah, and on that note, I was going to bring that up also, is good on you and great sportsmanship. Stopping, helping other racers. It's Cole and I talked about you guys, not just you, but you, Mitchie, embracing like the spirit of Dakar, right?
For sure.
I'm sure there were other guys, rather in other classes, no matter what class, that probably would have raced by. But I know you're not that guy. And thank you for portraying that image and being the guy that will stop.
No worries.
Because you don't know if you're going to get a time credit or not. I mean,
no, there's been many times where I haven't gotten a time credit, but I'd rather waste that time and make sure somebody's okay than just keep driving by and have that subconscious thought that if something did happen, then I could have been there.
Yeah. And respect. That's huge respect. And that's what it's about, really. I mean, to most of us, that's all part of racing, is you have to have some sportsmanship,
Yeah, exactly.
And you see, I saw, maybe it was made for TV, I don't know, but I saw what looked like a fair amount of that, with y'all sitting around campfires, on the 48 and then the marathon, and people making fun of people and making fun of what I think you making fun of what someone else was eating out of a cardboard box.
Yeah.
But that's good stuff, man. That's good stuff.
all family.
Yeah. No, that's rad. That is rad. What an adventure. So I've completely blown off where I know we need to wrap up because we're going way long. I got a couple more Cole Corner questions here. And I think he had asked, how is the class camaraderie comparatively? And I think you already covered that.
Yeah.
That, for the most part, the T1 Plus guys are just as bro together as the SSV or the bike guys or whatever.
Exactly.
And now you have the bleed in because Toby basically broke the ice. They have the bleed in of I think the car guys have probably always had respect or been afraid of the bike guys. Like, those guys are mental, but now you have the opposite happening, which is really cool.
Exactly.
So this is an interesting one. Does it feel out of place to competitively race a platform that's not readily drivable at home, like a UTV or something?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough because I've been in the car for so long now. Yeah, it's definitely different, I would say. I think I get more excited to drive, I think. Obviously much love to Polaris and then what they've done and the cars that they build and what people are doing in them here. Um, and I'm not saying that it gets old or anything, but you get used to it, I would say. You get used to seeing them, you get used to driving them. And I feel like with these Toyotas and these, the Raptor and the Dacia and everything, you look at them and you just get excited to drive. I mean, they're so foreign and you never see them. So just to see them, let alone drive them, you get so excited to drive. And yeah, I think that's a good question. I think that's kind of the difference there.
Yeah, and they are really, I mean, dude, they're the McLaren F1 street version of an off-road car. Like
Yeah,
they are that unique, right? They are the ultimate Ferrari F40 of off-road cars, if you will,
exactly.
or whatever the hot ticket is now. Um, that no, the other side of that is, dude, how freaking cool is it that you get to drive one? Like that's what
Yeah,
you do.
that's my
And
job. That's my job.
like most people love them, but could never even get close enough to touch one. And you're building shocks for them and driving them 8,000 kilometers off road in 14 days or 13 days. Um, dude, that's really sick. I mean,
Yeah.
the ultimate off road supercar. Even how nice would it be if they unlocked the ECU and just gave you open horsepower?
So I'm working on something here. And I guess I will leak it a little bit here. There is a chance that August, and I'm not going to say what race it is, that we're going to bring a car that's unlocked. And we're going to see how
Ooh.
it goes.
Dude, that would be sick.
Yeah.
Oh, man. You just gave me goosebumps, dude.
Yeah, we're working on it. We're working on it.
Oh, hot rod.
Yeah.
Wow. Now I can't wait. I'm totally distracted. Um, one more of Cole's questions because I think this one is really good. So as you've always been Red Bull,
Yep.
Red Bull athlete since you were 13 or
12.
12? 12. So as you progressed and once you got into Dakar, um, in that Red Bull, you're obviously full Red Bull athlete. You were driving the Can-Am or OT3 to begin
Oh,
with, right?
yeah.
And I know we had some conversations about that very first OT3, um, and it was very limited.
Yeah.
Um, and lacked horsepower compared to what you were used to.
Yep.
Is a nice way of putting it.
For sure.
But as you progress through all those, right? You went through OT3 to the South Racing Can-Am, the Red Bull
Yep.
Off-Road Junior Team, uh, Can-Am, and then into this T1. So Seth, Cole wants to know, what's the conversation like with your sponsors when you go through all these program changes?
Yeah, man, that's actually a really, really good question. So going back to me having to grow up so early, just for example, I'll give this one to you. I've been with Polaris all my life, right? I've been with Polaris since I was, 11 years old, and then some things happened to where I had an ultimatum. Really, it was either I had to quit racing Dakar, or I had to go to Can-Am, and I had to race Dakar and Can-Am. And I fought that for a very long time. Yeah, that was really tough, and I ended up not even telling my parents until I basically had signed the contract and said, "Hey guys, this is what I'm doing." But yeah, just a lot of changes, like simple things like that. Not simple, big things like that. Not just changing programs, leveling up and bringing your sponsors, but having to change sponsors. Fortunately enough, I might be racing a Razor every once in a while here again, hopefully soon. But
I hope so.
yeah, just like things like that. But the conversations and the relationships that I've had while growing up have been awesome, to be completely honest. My mom and I and my dad, we've, I've never had an agent or anything, so it's always been one-on-one, genuine conversations. And I text and call everybody personally on my phone, and I'm very open and transparent about what I want to do in life and where I want to go and how I want things to go. And I have these I've built not just professional relationships with all of these sponsors and people. They're all family relationships at this point, friendly ones. So simple things, just like let's say a light sponsor or something, like, hey guys, I'm thank you for everything that you've done. I appreciate it. I'm still going to continue to support you guys in every way that I can, but I'm going to be stepping into the T1 category and don't run lights. So, I appreciate it, but there's a lot of different conversations to be had. And also KMC was the same thing. I love that company, and I still continue to work with them to this day, but I can't run KMCs on my T1 because they don't make them for the T1, but they understand that and they accept that. So I think because of the relationships that I've built, the personal ones that I've built, and maybe the way that I've carried the things that I want to do and how I go about it, that the conversations have been pretty easy. Even when I switched from players to Can-Am, that conversation went very smooth. They were completely understanding. So I think really, and if anybody's listening and curious on how to approach these conversations with sponsors, it's just the way you present it. The way you present it and present yourself. That players conversation could have gone a lot of different ways, but the way I explained it to them and I made them understand, I didn't give them the option to not understand. I made them understand, like, hey guys, this is what's happening. I love you guys. I'll be back. Like I'm sorry, but this is just a decision I need to make to further my career. And when you put it that way, people really understand and respect it. I mean, at the end of the day, you're not talking to the owners of any of these companies. You're talking to the guys that are working in the companies.
Right.
But still, at that point, they're all family, and it's all love, and you love the company, and you've been around them for so long. So it's really just the way that you present yourself and where you want to go in your future, and whether that's you just don't want to work with the company anymore, or whether that's you have to leave them to go up in the world. Everybody's understanding. It's just the way that you approach it and the way that you speak it, and I guess the relationship that you built and the way that you portrayed yourself over the time that you've been with them.
Man, that uh, speechless, blown away, grown up response, dude.
Getting old.
No,
I'm getting old.
seriously, you're getting experienced. You're not getting old. You're getting experienced, and you're doing things right. I know when we talked after the Can-Am thing, and I know, when you had to switch, and I know how hard that was for you, and huge respect because it it was the move you needed to make to get to where you are now.
Exactly. If I didn't make that move and I didn't make that decision and I didn't, do what I needed to do, I wouldn't have the seat and I wouldn't have the jacket that I have on now. So it's
Right.
just this it's long term thinking that gets people places for sure.
Or the Corolla GT, what is that? Corolla GTS or something?
Yeah, I wouldn't have my beautiful GR out here, my Corolla GR circle
Yeah.
edition sitting hanging out. So yeah, just like I wouldn't have that if I didn't make that decision. But yeah, just kind of back to what I said on how to handle those things.
That's cool. And obviously with it being the Overdrive group running the T1 program, like you said, you've got a lot of time with them. You actually started Dakars with the Overdrive group, right? And so that team has got to, all you guys, like you said, have known each other for a long time. They're like family to you now. And I was going to ask some questions about the mechanics, but you already covered that. Like, um, I was going to ask the old standbys, like, trusting, uh, knowing that you're trusting your life to these guys, but you already said they're like brothers to you, so it's like, well, kind of blew that one out of the water because
Yeah.
I would, one of my brothers at least, I would let set any car up for me. Um, and get in it and go wherever I needed to go. So, no, that's really cool. And dude, I'm excited about this whole, maybe some news coming. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
Uh, and with that, I think we should probably wrap up because you're probably starving. Because you've probably only had what 4 meals today so far.
Yeah, I'm trying to get back in action. That's like, all right. Last thing we'll talk about the nutrition of Dakar. You lose
Yes,
10 to 15 pounds. Like it's the inevitable. Luckily this year I didn't lose as much because I had brought so much food with me and did well on the preparation beforehand. But then you get home and you're so used to eating one meal a day that you continue to lose weight because you can't eat. And it's like it's hard to get. Even now I don't really have much of an appetite, and it's been what 3 weeks since the race almost.
that was
Yeah,
actually something I wanted to get into because the food portion, at least, maybe not the nutrition part. And I didn't realize you lose that much weight
yeah,
in two
yeah.
weeks. It's just not eating? I mean, obviously you're burning tons of calories in the car, because you're working nonstop. Like you
Yeah,
have very little rest time in the car.
exactly. So we wore this for fun. It's called the Whoop. And so it's like a Fitbit or anything like that.
Okay.
And just to see, on average, we were burning 4,500 to 6,000 calories a day.
Wow.
You can't intake that physically, especially when you're only eating maybe a little bit in the morning and you have your dinner. You're getting maybe 1,000, maximum 2,000 calories in. You're not getting that 4,500 back in. So you're just bound to lose weight.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wow, what a perspective because I would expect the you would burn calories. I had no idea you burn that much. And then, like you said, when you're in the car all day, you're not, it's not like you're stopping at a roadside taco stand for street tacos or, you know, running through McDonald's. You're on the gas, focused on winning the stage and your road book and your compass and the glitches and I
Everything you
don't, yeah, anything and everything you can imagine. Tire sensor, tire pressure
all of it.
system. Yeah,
Hydraulic loading.
yeah. So, um, you don't like, even if you do have time to grab something, it's like, your Gatorade gummies or whatever, that
Exactly.
kind of stuff, right? Like Cliff Bars. Now you pack. Did you ship all your own stuff, or a majority of
Yeah.
your own food?
Yeah, I brought 65 pounds of food with me. Yeah.
So do you
And that was,
just pack a suitcase or
yeah, a full OGO duffel bag full of food. So it was all my vitamins, my mom's, the five, the homemade MRE she made me.
yep.
I brought 90-second rice. I brought granola bars, fruit snacks, chomps, the jerky sticks, trail butters, just like stuff like that. And that was all.
Ramen?
Yeah, yeah. Brought a bunch of ramen with me.
I saw that. I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
what about Cheetos?
Yeah, I did. I did. I brought my hot sauces, my barbecue sauces. I brought it all. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I, I brought poke sauce and soy sauce for my 90-second rice because, fortunately enough, our cook from Spain, they bring in the whole container full of frozen meats. Um, and he was nice enough to grab me some salmon there. So that was cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I want to get in. We've referred to this several times. So your mom's freeze dried MREs. I read her whole post um, about the process and I'm like, that is so cool. He is so spoiled.
Yeah.
Like, really, I mean, you're not spoiled because obviously you're out there like putting it on the line every day, but you get to eat your mom's cooking almost every day or pretty much every day. Um, how how jealous were all the other racers?
I think the only one that was jealous was Mitch, to be honest. He's the only one or Mitch and Kellen. They're the only ones that understood what I had in my hands. I basically had liquid gold in my hands.
Right?
I had basically birria tacos in the middle of the Saudi Arabian desert. Nobody else really could understand that or what that was. But Mitch and Kellen definitely understood it. And sorry, boys, but I ain't sharing.
Now, you did share on the last day.
I did with Brock. It was a nice little present for him.
I saw that. And what did they think?
They loved it. They thought it was the best thing in the world, and they were so happy to eat Mexican food after 2 weeks of no Mexican food.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man. And shout out, to Amy. I got to throw hearts because I always do for Amy.
Shout out, Mom.
Yeah, man. She's keeping you. You probably have lost 20 pounds if it hadn't have been for her food. So,
Oh, for sure. For sure.
dude, so rad. All right. Any parting comments before I have you hit all your sponsors?
Man, I don't think so. I think I covered it all, really.
Dude, it's so good. Thank you so much. Like the emotion, the real, like you said, you're you, right? I mean, and I'm not kidding. You're the same excitement guy that I met 10 years ago,
Yep.
and I know you're this big, like T1 plus Red Bull superstar now, international superstar, but you're still the same guy to me, and I appreciate you jumping on and being a part of this. You've been a big part of why we do this, even from the get go. And you are on episode 105, by the way.
Awesome.
I'd have had you on 103, but you were in Dakar.
We were close.
You were busy.
Yeah.
So, because, got to pay the bills, right?
That's right.
Sponsors, man. I know you got an extensive list. Hit them up.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Red Bull for the past, let's say, wow, it's my 10th year with them now. So yeah, Red Bull for the past 10 years and BFG for the past 6 and 7 of that. Repsol hopped on board, which is really cool to be a part of that. Having sustainable, renewable fuel and still be as competitive as we are is super awesome and healthy for the sport. Whether we like it or not, what we do isn't always the greatest, and not the most longevity. So just a little thing that we can help. Not saying let's go electric ever, but I'm saying maybe the fuels will help. Never electric, but the renewable fuels will help. Yeah, Toyota for the past 2 years. Hopefully, I can continue with them for the next X amount of time. Hopefully all that goes well, and I keep performing the way that I do. Sparko for keeping me, safe and healthy over the past basically my whole career. Yeah, and everybody else that's ever been in my corner ever. I mean, whether that was Muzzies back in the day or anybody else in between. Just anybody that's been on my side. I still talk to every single one of you, so you know it. Any sponsor that I've ever had, I'm still in contact with. So, everybody that's been around for forever. Just thank you.
Nice. So I've seen you on a, and this is going to be the cliffhanger for everyone. I've seen you on the simulator driving a lot different things than T1 plus trucks.
Mm-hmm.
Like what? How's that training going? Well, I've seen rally cars. Didn't you do a spot for Red Bull in a rally car not too long ago?
I don't know what you're talking about.
A little drifting.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
There's something brewing, and let's just say some sort of series is going to Tennessee next year. That is also some sort of World Series.
Very cool.
You know what? Let's just say it. I'm working on racing WRC 2026 and a WRC car. That's what that's what you've been saying.
Ooh, hot dog. Yeah. I was going to leave it as a cliffhanger, dude.
Let's just do it. Let's just run it.
Dude, that's rad. That's rad. And congratulations.
Thank you.
That's huge.
Thank you. Yep.
You are going to be a busy puppy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like sitting in bed. So whatever I do, stay busy. Let's get busy.
I'm the same way. Same way. And if that weird whatever happens to happen in August and you need someone to chase or fuel or hold your gloves, dude, hit me up because
I'm in. Yeah, sure.
I've got I've got a finisher. It was with a competitor of yours, tires, but I do have a finisher
Rad.
pin and hat
Awesome.
from a race in August. So it was quite the experience. I'd like to do it again. So
Yeah, well, maybe I'll see you in August with
yeah,
something that's unlocked.
I'm trying to talk Cole into finding us funding to get one of those T5s, one of the great big trucks.
There you go. There you go.
Just
Because
like
you could fit 3 people, so you can split it 3 ways.
yeah, I was trying to figure out who'd be the third one, but we could take. No, your mom
You can take my
ride
dad.
that race car.
You can take my
Yeah,
dad.
and take your dad. Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
How cool would that be? Your dad, Cole, and I.
that'd be awesome.
Dude, the in-cab radio would be worth the whole trip.
100%. 100%. Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, that's awesome. All right, buddy. I'm going to let you go and get some dinner, get
Sounds
that
good.
weight put back on, hit the gym. Seth, I love you, bro. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
being
of
on.
course.
As always, incredibly proud of you
Thank you.
and incredibly proud of the way that you represent all of us here in the good old US of A.
That's right.
Yes.
Right.
So, right on. Any special shout outs?
Shout out to my mom and dad for having me.
There you go. I love it. Short and sweet. Right on, dude. Thank you so much. Have a great night. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good, buddy. Talk to you in a bit.
All right.
See ya.
Woo, doggies. That kid is still the same kid I've known for over 10 years, but grown up. I know that doesn't make sense, but man, he's made huge growth. This Dakar thing is amazing. What an opportunity, and what a great, great representative for us as a country internationally. Man, Cole, what do you think?
I mean, just imagine being a country without Seth Quintero. How embarrassing that would be.
Ooh, that would be horrible.
But luckily, we're not that country.
We are not. So, yeah, man. I hope I got all your questions right and got your and you got answers. I thought some of those answers were way too grown up for me.
I got more than I bargained for in a good way. So I guess that's what we're doing here.
Yeah, well, it must be time to go. I'm out of Red Bull.
Or unnamed energy drink that doesn't sponsor this pod. No.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, we have no that um that Red Bull energy drink is a completely unsolicited um what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know, but it's a heck of a beverage.
Yeah. Completely unsolicited shout out. Um there's nothing exchanged. I paid my own money for that delicious, unbelievably good sugar-free Red Bull, and I would do it again. Mad Dog approved. With that, man, Cole, you got anything?
Man, no, what an episode.
Whew.
I know WRC is a pretty big announcement, but I got to hold my cards close. So we'll see. Something's cooking. So we'll touch base.
Excellent. We got drama.
There's always
I
drama.
love it. I love it. Oh, man. Fans, thank you so much. I know we went a little long, but this was well worth it. With that, Cole, do the speech.
Make sure to rate and review, subscribe in your favorite streaming platform.
Beautiful. While you're doing all that, be sure and check out our great sponsors, Kicker Performance Audio. Find them online, kicker.com, on Instagram at Kicker Audio, and on Facebook, Kicker. Bomber Eyewear, Bomber Safety Eyewear, Bomber Floating Eyewear, Bomber Badass Eyewear, the only Mad Dog approved eyewear. Find them online, bombereyewear.com, on Instagram at Bomber Eyewear. Once you get there and get your multiple pairs of sunglasses picked out and in the cart, go to codes and enter MAddOG20. That's right, Mad Dog 20. Let them know we sent you. They'll give you a little discount. Of course, man, premium ATV, UTV, and off road accessories, apparel, and tools. That would be Assault Industries. Find them online, assaultind.com, assaultind.com, or on Instagram at assaultutv. The Premix Podcast. Find them on Instagram, the at symbol ThePremixPodcast, and get Cole booked for your next desert race or to announce your next event. Shutter and Whirl, you can find them on Instagram for all your video and still photography needs from pre-production all the way through production to post-production. Find them on Instagram at Shutter and Whirl. Of course, Hey Geeks Marketing for all your website, social media needs. Hey Geeks Marketing has you covered from building websites to full on social media influencer campaigns. Yell Hey Geeks. Find her online, heygeeks.com, or on Instagram at Hey Geeks Marketing. With that, we're going to wrap up quick. I'm going to say, God bless our troops. God bless our veterans. God bless our first responders. God bless you, our fans. God bless America. Mad Dog out.